Hi, and welcome to another episode of Design Jamaica. This is part 2 of our reimagination of a proper transportation network for the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region, which includes Kingston, Portmore, and Spanish Town, in designing a well-needed light rail network for this growing metropolis. In part 1, we look at the history of public transportation within the KMTR, going back as far as the days of the old tram. The tram lasted for almost a century and then became defunct in the mid-1900s due to financial constraints and the public transportation becoming more modern and less reliant on the old tram. That was then replaced by the JOC, the Jamaica Omnibus Service, which lasted for half a century. And later on in the late 1900s, that was replaced by the Jamaica Urban Transit Company, the JUTC, which was more modern and state-of-the-art. The JUTC is still with us today, but has become unreliable in some areas due to low numbers of buses within the fleet, lack of maintenance, accidents, vandalism, theft, and the list goes on and on. Due to these growing concerns, Design Jamaica reimagined a light rail system for the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region, one called the Jamaica Light-rail Transport Network, abbreviated the JLRT, or simply called the Kingston Metro. Now, on the lucky side with the JUTC, since I made the last video, new buses has been added to the fleet, and also new bus routes has been introduced both in and outside of the Kingston Metropolitan Transport Region. Parishes like Clarendon, St. Thomas, St. Mary, and Westmoreland was added to the system. You can watch that Design Jamaica video right here on Geography Joade. The link is posted in the description below. Also posted in the description below is part 1 of this topic on designing a light rail network for the Kingston metropolitan area. I implore you to pause this video, go back and watch part 1 before starting this one. That way you'll get a total idea of what this video is all about and a total concept of the plan. So from part 1, we introduced 6 color-coded metro lines that would automatically make up this proposed JLRT network, spanning the cities of Kingston, Portmore, and Spanish Town. There is the red line from Constant Spring to Greater Portmore, the blue line from Pepin to Spanish Town, the yellow line from Bull Bay to 6 Miles, the green line from Barbican to Port Royal, the orange line from Halfway Tree to Red Hills, and the purple line from Spanish Town to Portmore. We also discussed that the red line specifically between Halfway Tree and Greater Portmore would be the most crucial to begin with, since this route is where we see the most hiccups with JUTC buses, with extension of the red line between Halfway Tree and Constant Spring would come at a much later date. We also look at the proposed blue line between Pepin and Spanish Town, since this route is one of the most profitable and would also be the longest route within the system. The aim is to commute passengers between Pepin and Spanish Town within 1 hour and 15 minutes, a journey which would take you roughly 2 hours or more on a JUTC bus. On the JLRT blue line, also, you'll have the choice to commute one single train between Pepin and Spanish Town and back without getting off in Halfway Tree to board another vessel, unlike the JUTC, which you have to. So with the red line and blue line already covered in part 1, in part 2, we're covering the yellow line between Bull Bay and 6 Miles, or the 876 Industrial Zone, the green line from Barbican to Port Royal, which, due to input and comments from some of you, my valuable viewers, from the last video, we are going to make some changes to the green line, so you'll see what that looks like when we get to that section of the video. And last but not least, the orange line from Halfway Tree to Red Hills. Continuation of the red line between Halfway Tree and Constant Spring, and also the purple line between Portmore and Spanish Town will be covered in part 3. So without further ado, we bring you the Yellow Line between Bull Bay and the 876 Industrial Zone, or more crucially, 6 miles. And this time around, we're moving from west to east, so we start things off at the 876 Industrial Zone via 6 miles. The 876 Industrial Zone is a newly built industrial complex, so there will be no need for retrofitment. So the Yellow Line will begin at its 876 terminus on Tom Kingle Drive, then heads east onto Mandela Highway, making its first stop at 6 miles, where you could connect with the Blue Line heading to Halfway Tree or to Spanish Town. You could also connect with various JUTC buses or rural buses right here in this area. The Yellow Line then continues east along Spanish Town Road for 2 stops before 3 miles. Its first stop at Portland Avenue, and then across the Sandy Gully Bridge for its second stop at Penwood Avenue opposite Toyota Jamaica. The Yellow Line then continues east all the way to 3 miles, where you could get a shuttle to the Red Line at the Tinsipen stop if you're heading to Portmore, or you could get various JUTC buses heading to Portmore or Halfway Tree. Not to mention rural buses. I mean, this is 3 miles. You can get anything heading in any direction. The Yellow Line then continues east along Spanish Town Road for its next stop at Maxfield Avenue, and then east for another stop at Industrial Terrace before heading into the Downtown Transportation Center, where you could connect with the Red Line heading to Halfway Tree or to Portmore. Not to mention JUTC buses heading all over the KMTR, and also rural buses heading to anywhere in Jamaica. In part 1, we made a proposal to either relocate the St. William Grand Park to somewhere else, or retrofit the area to fit both the park and a modern state-of-the-art transport center, like putting the St. William Grand Park on top and the transportation center beneath the park. We still stand by that. This modernized state-of-the-art transport center would be something that is even bigger than Halfway Tree, which would house both the red and yellow lines, as well as JUTC buses currently using those outdated bus terminus along the parades. Not to mention those rural buses now occupying that dilapidated and outdated rural bus terminus on Darling Street. That thing should be gone, be gone. So a new centralized and modernized transport center right in this area, while keeping the park on top, is the way to go. The Yellow Line then continues east along East Queen Street for its next stop at South Camp Road, where you could connect with the Green Line if you're heading north to Barbican or Ligony, or if you're heading south to the Norman Manley International Airport or Port Royal. So in part 1, we routed the Green Line to run along Marasco Road and head into downtown Kingston, but due to further review, we see where it makes much better sense to reroute it onto South Camp Road instead, since the Red Line is already within that middle area along Slipe Road, and it's already serving that general area into downtown Kingston, while South Camp Road is a much busier thoroughfare with a whole lot more amenities such as Sabina Park, Up Park Camp, and many other places of interest, way more crucial than Marasco Road and East Street. Plus, a line serving this part of the city is crucial and makes much better sense. Plus, we really don't need 2 north-south lines heading into downtown Kingston. They both automatically would be doing the same job, so makes sense to put the Green Line on South Camp Road. The Yellow Line then continues east along Victoria Avenue onto Windward Road for its next stop at the Bellevue Hospital. It then continues east along Windward Road for its next stop at the Noon Road, then east for a next stop along Norman Terrace near to Mountain View Avenue, another crucial stop. The Yellow Line then continues east and makes its final stop along Windward Road in the vicinity of the JPS Rockford Power Plant. The Yellow Line then continues east along the Sir Florizel Glasspool Boulevard, where it makes its next stop at Fort Rocky. It then continues east for another stop at Carib Cement, and then into Harborview by the roundabout, where you could connect with JUTC buses heading to Norman Manley and Port Royal, or a shuttle to connect with the Green Line at Norman Manley. The Yellow Line would then continue east along the Paul Bogle Highway for one more stop at Lamar Avenue, and then its final stop at the Bull Bay Roundabout. So if you're coming in from St. Thomas, or if you're going to the Bob Marley Beach, or if you're going up into the hills to Cane River Falls, then this would be your stop. In terms of retrofitment and configurations, for Spanish Town Road, this thoroughfare was built for future expansions, especially for projects like these, so there would not be nothing much done to Spanish Town Road except for the section near to the Sandy Gully Bridge. However, there will have to be some widening along East Queen Street, Windward Road / Victoria Avenue, as well as to a section of the Sir Florizel Glasspole Boulevard. The Blue Line is expected to be completed sometime around 2035, so we're not expecting that the Yellow Line would start completion anytime before the ending of 2036 for completion sometime around the 2040. And in terms of JUTC comparison, it would take you around 3 buses to get between the A76 industrial zone and the Bull Bay. You're looking at possible connections in places like downtown, 6 miles and 3 miles before you get to your destination, which would take you roughly somewhere around 4 hours. On the JLRT, your commuter time is slashed in less than half, around 1 hour and 40 minutes on just one vessel. Game changer. Not to mention commuter cost. 3 JUTC buses would cost you somewhere around $450 for 3 rides. On the JLRT, 1 ride would cost you roughly $150. You certainly can't compete with that. Now from the Yellow Line to the much controversial Green Line. Now this is the line that we tell you that we had to make some changes with. A matter of fact, we made 2 changes differently from the projected route that we showed you in part 1. In part 1, the projected path included Marasco Road, East Street into downtown, where it would then either tunnel or bridge over the Kingston Harbor, and then for a stop somewhere in the vicinity of the Norman Manley International Airport. It would then continue along the Norman Manley Highway into Port Royal. So on Design Jamaica, we're all about being realistic, and building a tunnel or a bridge over or under the Kingston Harbor takes a lot of money, and with our economy, it's just not there, and we're just not seeing it happening even in the next 50 years. On Design Jamaica, our vision is very far. Our dreams are huge, and we certainly don't think small and put ourselves in a box. This is the 21st century, and we don't think third world, we think first world. However, while our dreams and visions are beyond the planet of Mars, the reality of it is, it's just not the same for everybody. We wish we could say the same for our successive governments. Believe it or not, that's just the reality of it. Most times, local civilians and government are just not on the same page, development-wise. We, as the members of the public, really want to see it happen, but government, they're just doing it based on party lines. That's the reality. Anyway, back to the Green Line. So even though building a massive bridge over or tunneling under the Kingston Harbor is far in view financial wise, I do think it's attainable and can be done once we have the right people with the right vision and the right mission. So instead of building a bridge or tunneling under the Kingston Harbor, we would use a shuttle ferry. So what this ferry would do would shuttle commuters from the Green Line at the Port Royal Street terminus to the Norman Manley International Airport, and then board another train on that section of the Green Line into Port Royal for those who are traveling to Port Royal. Or instead of building a line on the Palisades Strip, we would just easily use a shuttle bus to shuttle people from the ferry into Port Royal. So I'm going to allow you guys to decide on that. Which one do you prefer? Do we build a line from the shuttle ferry into Port Royal, or simply use a shuttle bus? Leave your thoughts in the comment section. Also remember, there will be another shuttle bus from Harborview into Port Royal via the Norman Manley International Airport, which will automatically connect with the shuttle ferry. So for those commuters who are coming from the eastern side of the island and want to get either to Port Royal or the airport, you don't have to go all the way to Port Royal Street to board the ferry over. You can just easily connect with the shuttle bus, just as we do today by traveling to the Norman Manley International Airport or into Port Royal via the Palisades Strip. Now, with all the chit-chapping and yapping and gapping, let's get to it. The Green Line, which will run from Barbican Square to Port Royal. Now, for everyone that is familiar with the uptown area, especially within Barbican, these roads are like everything very far away from a grid pattern road network. They're like the colonial days European standard of building roads. Sometimes it seems like they even go around in circles and form crescents instead of boulevards and avenues. This is the nature of Barbican Road, so you know there will be a lot of turns and curves along this line. So the Green Line begins at the Barbican Road Lady Musgrave Road intersection in Barbican Square. then head east along Barbican Road through to Salisbury Avenue where it makes its first stop. The Green Line then continues east along Barbican Road to Wickham Road where it makes another stop. So if you're heading to some of those wealthier uptown communities up in the hills, like Jacksonville and all those places, this would be your stop. The Green Line then heads south along Barbican Road for another stop at the National Chest Hospital, and then continues south along Barbican Road into Ligony at Matilda's Corner where it meets the Blue Line, heading from Pepin into Halfway Tree or to Spanish Town. So if you're heading in either of those directions, this would be your stop to connect with the Blue Line. The Green Line then continues south along Old Hope Road to Monroe Avenue where it makes another stop, and then continues south along Old Hope Road to Seaview Avenue where it makes another stop. The Green Line then continues south along Old Hope Road to Lady Musgrave Road where it meets for a second time since leaving Barbican, and then further south, not too far away, along Oxford Road for its New Kingston stop. So if you're heading into New Kingston on the Green Line, well, this is it, baby. The Green Line then continues south along Old Hope Road for another stop at Eureka Road, and then continues south into Crossroads, the closest point to the Red Line coming from Halfway Tree into Greater Portmore. So remember now, the Green Line is not heading to downtown Kingston. So if you're heading downtown, you would have to transfer here to the Red Line to head downtown or into Portmore. The Green Line then heads east along Camp Road for Up Park Camp where it makes another stop. I know me gonna Up Park Camp. Me never want go up Park Camp. The Green Line then continues south along Camp Road for another stop at Deanery Road, and then continues south along Camp Road for a crucial stop at Sabina Park. Yes, the main reason why this line was switched from Morosco Road to South Camp Road. The Green Line then continues south along South Camp Road to the East Queen Street Victoria Avenue intersection where it meets its crucial stop to connect with the Yellow Line. So this would be your final connector point for downtown Kingston if you are on the Green Line, or if you're heading any point east such as Harborview or Bull Bay, or if you're heading further west to 6 Miles or the 876 commercial zone. The Green Line then heads further south along Lower South Camp Road to the Port Royal Street terminus, where you will exit the tram and continue your journey onto the shuttle ferry if you're heading to the Norman Manley International Airport or to Port Royal. And oh no, you don't have to pay again. The same ticket that gets you from Barbican to here will get you also onto the ferry. Get ready for the windy bumpy ride across the Kingston Harbor over to the Norman Manley International Airport, where you will connect with either a shuttle bus or a continuation of the Green Line tram. So for the nature of this video, we're going to use a tram to Port Royal. And guess what? This is the fastest way to get from downtown Kingston into the airport without after going all the way around Harborview to get into the airport. Your travel time from downtown Kingston to get into the airport is cut by half. You'll never miss a flight again. The Green Line then continues east along the Airport Boulevard to the airport roundabout, where it will connect with the shuttle bus from Harborview. The line then continues west along the Norman Manley Highway or the Port Royal Main Road all the way through to the vicinity of the cruise ship pier, and then continues west where it makes its final stop in Port Royal Square. These days, if you're traveling from Barbican to Port Royal, and especially if you want to do so using public transport, your commute is going to be really dramatic and really long, because you would have to get on a bus or taxi from Barbican either to Halfway Tree or Ligony, and then you will have to take another bus into downtown Kingston, and then you will have to take another bus to Port Royal, which means you will have to deal with that windy stretch around the Kingston Harbor through places like along East Queen Street, Rockford and Harborview, not to mention the time it takes to get on another bus, especially in Halfway Tree, Ligony, downtown, and also at the Norman Manley International Airport. That roughly will take you around 4 hours or more. And yes, you're going to pay more too. With the JLRT, yes, there are going to be stops along the way, and you will have to connect at Port Royal Street to board the shuttle ferry and then get onto either a shuttle bus or another tram at the Norman Manley International Airport to Port Royal. But guess what? You don't have to deal with that long stretch around the Kingston Harbor through Harborview. Plus, you only pay one fare, no matter how many times you connect to a different vessel, because you're on the same Green Line. So compared to other modes of transportation such as the JUTC and taxis, your commute time has been reduced from 4 hours to just under 2 hours, and you will pay 70% less in commuter fare. As for retrofitment and configuration, almost all the entire leg of the Green Line will need this. You're looking at all of Barbican Road, all of Old Hope Road, and the entirety of both Camp Roads. There will be no changes needed for the ferry service, the leg along the Norman Manley International Airport into Port Royal, as those roads are more remote and wider. The Yellow Line is expected for completion sometime around 2040, so we're not expecting that the Green Line would begin construction anytime before 2041 for completion around 2046. Now it's time to tell you about the Orange Line, the shortest line within the entire JLTR network. This line will be routed between Halfway Tree and Red Hills. To be specific, beginning at the Halfway Tree Transport Center and terminating at Red Hills Square. Unlike the other routes, the Orange Line will be a short and spicy one, so with no more time wasting, here we go. Beginning at the Halfway Tree Transport Center, the Orange Line continues north along Eastwood Park Road for its first stop along the Red Hills Road, Eastwood Park Road intersection. And here you can connect with the Red Line if you're heading north to Constant Spring or you're heading south to Halfway Tree or to Greater Portmore. The Orange Line then continues north along Red Hills Road for its next stop at Red Hills Drive. It then continues north along Red Hills Road for a major stop at Dunrobin Avenue, just opposite the Calabar High School. A major point of interest for commuters leading east to Constant Spring Road or west along Dunrobin Avenue or Washington Boulevard. The Orange Line then continues north for another stop at Lee's Food Fair and then north for another stop at Red Hills Mall or Whitehall Avenue. It then continues north for its Price Mart stop, a very crucial stop on this line, if not its most crucial. It then continues west along Red Hills Road for another stop at Fairden Avenue. It then continues west along Knightsdale Drive for another stop at Malines Road, a major thoroughfare. It then continues west along Red Hills Road for another stop at Mayfair Avenue and then west for another stop at Hillside Drive. The Orange Line then continues west along Red Hills Road for another stop at East Kirkland Heights and then for another stop at Swain Spring Road. It then continues west for another stop at Strathmore Terrace and then continues west where it terminates at Red Hills Square. In terms of retrofitment, the entirety of Red Hills Road will need to be upgraded and retrofitted, as this thoroughfare is very windy and narrow. And as the name says, hills! Yes, it goes up hills. Lots and lots of hills, so take it however. To take note, the rural section between Price Mart and Red Hills Square will need lots of work. For the section heading south from Price Mart to Eastwood Park Road, will need some work, but not much. In terms of JUTC comparison, there really will be not much in comparison there, as you can get a JUTC bus from the Halfway Tree Transport Center into Red Hills. What the light rail will do though along this route is to make commutes between Halfway Tree and Red Hills smoother, safer, and yes, state of the art. However, there's one crucial pro I must highlight in comparison with the JUTC and the JLRT on the Orange Line. Say for example, you're at Halfway Tree waiting on a bus to Red Hills. Most likely one bus can hold like so many persons, right? So you will be waiting for a longer time for a bus. Meanwhile, the JLRT is able to accommodate 5 times the number of passengers that a single JUTC bus can carry. I mean, even the newborn baby that was born like 3 minutes ago can really see the difference. The JLRT will get you there faster than the JUTC. The Green Line is expected for completion around 2046, so let's give this a 2-year long window. Being that the Orange Line will be the shortest within the network, we're not expecting it to take a lot of time to complete. So work would begin sometime around 2048 and to be completed sometime around 2051. Unfortunately, some of us who are watching this video right now really might not be around to see this happen. Guys, I really do pay attention to my audience, so take that however you see it. But the upside of it is our children and grandchildren will be around to benefit. Makes sense, right? Anyway, so there you have it, the JLRT Yellow Line, Green Line, and Orange Line. What are your thoughts on these 3 lines? Do they really make sense? And will they provide a better, faster, cheaper, smoother, and a more reliable mode of transportation within the KMTR? Guys, we really want to hear from you. Let us know in the comment section. And remember, all of this is just a reimagination. It's not concrete, so we may never see it happen. We just have to hope and pray that the government will follow suit. Probably one of you or me or someone else will recommend this video or these videos to the government or governments, whoever that will be, in a few months' time from now. And yes, it will take a whole lot of us to to really bring their attention to this project. As you know, united we stand and divided we fall. So it will take all of you and more. Not just one, not just 10, not 20, not even 500, not even just you, our existing subscribers. It will take a whole lot, thousands more people to really come together and present this so that they can see our plan and our vision and yes, take some thoughts, right? Reason why I'm pleading, I'm begging and asking you all to please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, as this is the only way that the YouTube algorithm will trigger our video for others to see like yourself. Without your interaction, videos like these really makes no sense. They'll be just null, void, or probably may never be seen by the audience it was intended for, or more important, may never be seen by the people who can really make projects like these happen. Like, yes, them people, them me attack, them they up this. Yeah, man. So with your subscription, your likes, your views, your comments, and you sharing the videos to others will make this imagination becomes reality. This has been Design Jamaica. Remember now to watch part 1 of this video, as it will give you a deep dive into where we're coming from with this project. You can click on it right here on the screen, or you can click on the link below in the description. Look out for part 3, as we will be exploring the purple line and also the continuation of the red line. It's been 8 months since I made part 1, and I know, yes, it's been a long wait for part 2, but I promise you part 3 will not take even half that time. As you know, these videos are really hard to make. They really take a long time. I've been working on this video for 2 months now, so there you go. And it really makes no sense going through the toil and snares to make these videos if you're not getting the views and interaction. So once again, I'm pleading to you to share, like, subscribe, comment, and share. I will only make part 3 if I'm really seeing some real interaction. Yes, like the views have to be over 1,000 and the subscriptions must go up. My name is Travis Curious, otherwise known as Bro. Until next time, thank you for watching.
Brought to you by Films by Jawade. Follow us at Films by Jawade on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.